Folks, for those of you who have just joined us, my name is Marc. You're watching Wild Earth. We're live coming to you from Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sand in South Africa. We're on the western boundary of the Kruger National Park. We're sitting with a pride of lion that brought down a zebra sometime probably late yesterday or during the night. It could have even been earlier than that, judging by the amount of activity that's taken place on the stomach contents of the zebra. Pride of lion like this have pretty much polished off the carcass. A few pieces of it left that can give an indication that it is a zebra. I'm seeing this pride for the first time, so I have to tell everybody I'm not too sure what the composition is. At the moment, a sort of wall-to-wall lion in a small area that we're doing, crowded under these trees. Everything from adult females to youngsters of about 6-8 months. Maybe 10 months. With such big tummies they could be. But they've obviously been feeding throughout most of the night. Very little meat left. They're now arguing over a few scraps, those of them that are feeding still. A couple of growls and snarls coming out of them as they try and find those last scraps. We're very, very fortunate to have this. We've got a very cold, overcast, windy day here in the Sabi Sand after very hot temperatures for a couple of days. Kind of weather that tends to send a lot of animals into thickets, into hiding, only to find the pride of lion that we haven't seen for quite some time. It's been quite a while since we've had lion. We're in a very, very small traversing area, part of a much larger private game reserve that is part of a much bigger national park. If I could put things into perspective, we're covering probably just under 2,500 acres on a game reserve that is maybe 150,000 acres, which is part of a wilderness or a national park area that probably covers 5.5–6 million acres. And in hectares, if I can try and translate that into hectares, I'd say we're on about 1,000 hectares within a private game reserve of about 60,000 hectares. Part of the national park that covers now 2.5–3 million hectares. Very, very big area. And since we can only cover a small portion of it, a lot of the time we're very dependent on animals moving into the area that we cover with our broadcasts, as opposed to us being able to follow animals endlessly. We've got to be conscious of broadcast quality and distances we can travel to our tower and back to our base, what we call final control. Lions typically have territories considerably larger than the area that we can cover, so we tend to only fall within the territory of 1 or 2 prides of lion, and it's a matter of hoping that they're going to be around within our traversing area from time to time, and I think we're very lucky today to have them with us. Yesterday we had one of our local leopards on a kill. She killed an impala with her 2 cubs. Today a pride of lion on a zebra kill. And for regular viewers who know that we can sometimes drive around for several hours, if not a day or 2, without seeing anything, to have so much activity is really, really special. I think if we had this kind of activity all the time, we'd all get a little bit blasé. It's those moments when we're driving around looking for animals and looking for tracks, trying to follow tracks, looking for signs of activity. It's those moments that make us appreciate this moment so much more. When we get to sit with an entire pride, we are relatively close to them. We first stopped a little bit further out and then came in a little bit closer when they were more relaxed. Since we've stopped where we are now, they've moved around a little bit. We have one adult that's come fairly close to us, this pelvic girdle and the hind leg of the zebra, and another adult female just off to her side that clearly not happy about the status quo at the moment. The ears are back. She's showing distinct signs of displeasure, and I think it's got something to do with the little feeding frenzy that just went on now. It's got something to do with this adult next to us feeding on the pelvis. Every now and then she glances back at us, wide-eyed. Not very, no, not you, you're fine. This one that just looked at us now. I'm not seeing her frown, I'm not seeing the ears go flat, I'm not seeing any aggressive posturing from her. But certainly the lioness behind her is bristling a little bit. She's not happy about something. Look at the size of that. Well, that's what she's not happy about. She's not happy about this other one feeding behind her. By the sounds of things, it's been quite a while since the Styx. This is known as the Styx Pride, by the way, S-T-Y-X. Pride then. But MJ coming through. Thanks, MJ. Another one of our wee viewers, our wee people. Wonderful having regular people that keep track of things for us. MJ just letting us know that Styx were last seen here back in September, which is a considerable time ago, when these cubs were very, very small, which pretty much ties in with what I was guessing at 8 or 9 months old, maybe 10 months at the most. Yeah, that was back in September 2008. Now the distance, the time gap between then and now is not indicative of them. They might actually hang around here for the next couple of weeks. They might leave today. As I mentioned earlier, we're very close to one of our boundary roads. If they got up and moved south right now, they would be unavailable to us within 5 minutes. The fact that they've just ventured into this area is a good indication of the fact that they might stay. They were certainly in the area a couple of nights ago. Their tracks were all over the roads. They must have been hunting. They must have been walking up and down looking for something. Even got up to Gari Dam. So they know that Gari Dam is full. There's a good chance that they'll head up to Gari Dam, or even just across to Twin Dams for water. While they're getting a lot of moisture out of the meat and the blood of the carcass, they are still somewhat dependent, or they still